Man, oh man, here we go again, and we are back with the main channel action. Now here in the recent, we've been hammering stuff out on the Lodestar, and unfortunately, old Roy's just been sitting out front. Old girl's just looking a little sad, ain't she? Do not fear, this was not fully installed. We just had kind of mocked it up, so we can fix that. Oh man, now she's tweaked. See? Just stick that there. Perfect. Old Roy is a project y'all know we've been doing for my dad. It actually started out as that truck, but now it's this truck. And this truck is 6-liter swapped. We've got 37s on it, the old Humvees. We even have the driver side ones installed backwards because the directionals are not directioning the directional way it should be directioning. And guys, we've been making a lot of progress on it. We've gone through all the chassis side of stuff. We've got new 6-inch lift kit. She has brakes. She's got a diff leaking. And the last go around, we mated the body back onto our new chassis, and we installed our 6-liter. We did a little bit of the wiring harness, as you can see, and we've just got to continue working on this thing, starting to hook stuff up and hopefully get her fired up. I hear that 6-liter roar, baby. Now, what all are we getting into this go around? That I'm not quite sure. We need to start looking at mounting a computer somewhere. Speaking of that, boom, flash PCM right there. We need to put the gas pedal in her. Boom, right there. That goes with that. Boom. She needs some exhaust. Boom. Starter. Boom. Battery. Boom, boom. And radiators and fans and bears and lions, tigers, oh my, whatever they once said. Oh, ha. Turn that for me. With her successfully in the shop. I like how I call her Old Roy, but I always call her her. You never know anymore, okay? We'll just keep it at that. Wiring's kind of laying everywhere underneath the engine bay. So we are gonna have to figure out some of this, and pretty soon, obviously. Unfortunately, wiring is boring, and I'd rather do something where we're actually not wiring. So I think we're gonna start with making our pedal fit, because this is directly related to the wiring, because we got to wire this to that and that to that. Unplug our harness here, blow the cat hair off this thing, and see what it's gonna take to put it in the truck. Now luckily the truck does not have a seat, so figuring out a comfortable position should be super easy. All right, little light up in here. We've got our old pedal, and when she's to the floor, I'm gonna put a piece of tape to about where that was hitting the floor. And if we take that all the way up, there's a pin that's gonna stop that. And that just kind of rests right there. I'm gonna take my fancy new angle finder. Golly, that light is bright. 55, 56 degrees. We'll just kind of ballpark know where we're aiming for-ish, sorta. Popper. Top. Come on, cable. There we go. Are you a classic truck lover? More specific, are you a square body Chevy lover? Are you a good quality t-shirt lover? And are you a puddins.fab.shop lover? Hold on. That one got a little weird. Available now, we got the Old Roy cartoon design. She's got the PFS on the front, and we're throwing a little mud out back. Available now. She also looks good with the sleeves missing. Now let's say you're like, Puddin', I don't really like the cartoon design. I'm more of the classic. Well, good news for you. Available now. Look at that PFS logo and that Old Roy color combo. Can't beat it. Damn. Dang right, baby. Hot damn. Good looking shirts get me excited. Now guys, I know I've caught some slack over the years for cutting down long beds. Moment of silence for the long beds. We got you. The long beds matter. Save the long beds right there. I'm promoting. Stop turning these trucks into short beds. But if you have to turn one into a short bed, you can follow my simple guide right here. This revolutionary shirt will show you how to remove the bed, disassemble it, where to cut it, how to upgrade your suspension, where to modify the frame, a nice simple checklist to go through, and then boom, you've saved a long bed. Some of y'all's like, well, I don't really like lifted. Good news, folks. If you want your Save the Long Bed shirt to end up with a slammed one instead, we have those as well. Big or small, we're gonna save them all, baby. Them long beds ain't gonna save themselves. So as always, we appreciate all the support with the merchandise, guys. It makes this possible. The support here makes it where we can build that and just give it to Dad, no questions asked. I cannot thank you guys enough for that support. And hopefully you'll get you one where we can keep saving all these long beds. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. And you can see if we go up and mount like that, because of the way that pedal kicks, that don't look too good. And to get the pedal kind of where we need it, you can see we're way over in there, which don't look good for mounting. Now, she's got quite the jog in her. So let me eagle eye this puppy a little bit here. So I'd kind of like to mount this pretty close to where the factory one was instead of going up and over. I'm leaning more towards that. If we do that, it more needs to jog this way than that way. Well, then I got to looking at our factory pedal here, and it has the little spring up, and it's all in good shape. I kind of held it right there, and well, you can see it kind of more jogs this way. And it got me thinking, what if we can just cut that and figure out how to index that and just weld that there. So I think we're gonna try it and just see what happens. Eyeball action. Let's just go with that bottom hole lines up for a baseline. And let's just set that there. Golly, that don't look too bad already. Even the angle I guessed. Next we want to check it with it floored. So we're going to pinch that, and a marker is the perfect width to hold that floored. Once again, we line up our bottom holes, and we're going to check our pedal. Oh, I mean, not terrible. We need to pick this up just a hair. I think we're onto something there, guys. I think the angle I guessed right there is pretty close. However, before we tack that and put that pedal in our way, let's figure out mounting this then, knowing we're gonna line up our bottom hole. Now, a lot of stuff's in good shape, like I said, so I don't want to pull that whole panel off the firewall unless we have to. For now, we'll give it the trim job. Drilled those out to 1/4 I am gonna weld the head of this to the pedal, basically making it a stud, because I've only got one of me and starting a nut and bolt on both sides. Yeah, the math don't add up. We've done ranked it anyhow. If you're gonna weld a bolt, start on the plate and move your pedal into the bolt. Don't try to hit the bolt with the wire, you'll bounce the bolt around. Got plastic bushings and stuff. We want to get the heat out of this. Now, I do not advise you to pull a pole barn garage and a self-tapper this thing, okay? Like to your little thin sheet metal firewall. I know some people's probably done it, but guys, we want this to clamp to that firewall for strength. That's a pretty little heavy duty spring compared to, you know, maybe old carburetor return spring or something. So a lot more force going on right here than what was going on the old pedal. Fits beautiful. Now that actually mounted, this is actually a little too far out of way. I could go about right in there. Yeah. Yeah. Just curious what this looks like if we take some of that jog out. Yep. Kind of liking that too. Floored our pedal with the marker once again. We'll floor this with our thumb. We'll line that up. That actually gets us really close to hitting our goal of where we put our tape down here. So I'll floor it and then pick it up off the floor just a hair, like maybe that much off the floor. And then we can trace that to get the angle we would need. It's gonna be a lot more strength, guys. We'll keep that lip on there, which is a lot of strength. And check this out, before we cut that out, we're actually gonna come right here and kind of mark along that. And that's how we're gonna cut it. And that lip will actually weld up onto this for even more strength. We're getting there. And I messed up, kinda, sorta, maybe not. I'd mocked it up before we tacked it, and I realized I didn't account for like thick carpet and padding and stuff, so we may not be able to floor it. I also realized it needed to go that way a hair, so just then I offset that, and I need to kind of twist it a hair. But she's offset to jog us over, and before we weld that up, we want to check our angle. So if we check her with her floored and floored, I got about a fingertip's worth of clearance right underneath there. I think that ought to be about just right. Now that being shifted, I didn't like the way just having weld on there looks, and I kind of wanted to smooth it out anyways. So today I'm a grinder, not a welder. So grinding and paint will make me the welder I ain't. Smooth her out, and I think she's gonna look mighty fine. I think a smooth versus big old welds down on there anyhow would look better. I mean, you'll rarely look down that way, but if someone did. Welcome back to a Puddins Shake-a-thon, where if old Puddin has that paint can of shaking, them women's hearts are just a-aching. Yeah, you women need to calm down. You see that right there? You see it? You see it? I'm locked down. First time my wife ever seen me shake a paint can, she was like, I gotta have that. That is not true. Welcome back to another Puddin Shake-a-thon, where if his old hips are thrusting, them women are a-lustin'. I done told you women, all right? You don't wanna listen, okay? You don't wanna listen. What was that? A couple minutes for the primer setup. She's ready. Told you. Going with our semi-gloss black. Little light coat on the first one, then we'll come back with a little thicker mama. I'm Rattle Can Dan, and this baby's getting a full overhaul. She's practically brand new. Now Mother Nature's a-blowing today, so I moved her out to the wind booth here to set up. And my cheapo $150 China harness off the Amazon did not come with a lot of wiring. That is not true. It came with plenty of wiring. It came with no instructions. And I just kind of want to start looking at things and figuring out our layout. And I think we're going to run over and probably look at mounting the PCM on this fender well. We could pass through the firewall and try to hide everything up underneath there. For this one, and just simplicity and no more than what the truck is, I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, that truck, all kinds of stuff have the PCMs underneath the hood, so that don't scare me. Now, it does come with a grommet if you do want to pass through the firewall. It looks like we got wiring there. I think that runs to our gauges. Connector and connector for the PCM. We have our relay and fuse block. We have the OBR37D2 port, whatever the heck that's called. We've got this one that I believe goes to the TAC module for the pedal. We've got this, which we can peel back, and you can tell that's all grounds. And I'm just assuming that this is our key on wire. That's going to turn that relay on, and then right there, see that red wire? That's running over to here and then powering up the rest of those. And then this one is a relay that only has 2 wires going to it. Looks like we got wires to trigger a relay on and off, but maybe that's for our fuel pump. I don't know. If it came with stuff to wire that up, I definitely don't have it, so don't worry about that. If we want to run it along the firewall, I think we need to clean up a lot of what is there. You see a lot of that old harness that used to lay on top of the old motor. I threw it off to the side. A lot of that other stuff feeds a lot of our old HVAC. We're gonna put aftermarket stuff in this. So I pretty much think all the wiring along there is no longer useful to us. So why don't we do a little stripping down here, folks? Little snippety. We got all kinds of wires running all over. That may have been an added one. Snip. Now, as useful as this factory jack and stuff would be with this big old lift kit, I'm probably gonna go ahead and pull this crap out of here too. Overflow. Someone added a voltage regulator, or I think. And we're not gonna quite strip out the HVAC stuff yet, so I don't even know why I'm messing with the other crap on this fender well. Sometimes you just got beat to your own drum, you know. They're only original once, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, she's good quality condition. You don't keep them original, you don't bring them around puddins.fab.shop, I'll tell you that much. Add your circuit breaker, safety first. And this old trough is falling apart. So we're just gonna remove her. That sure is looking better. I know you're thinking, surely we're gonna need some of that. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna cut it right there. That way we got some wires we can splice into if need be. We've got a bunch of crap coming up here that I don't even know what any of it is. This green one we had added. These other ones are gonna cut down here because they're added in anyhow. And that's how they're added in. They're just cramped in and stuff anyhow, so it ain't like we're losing some good quality stuff there, folks. Like that wire, I cut it out of there. But guess what? Even if we needed that, well, she's been chewed on. That ain't very good, is it? Take our harness. We know we want to work this way. And I'm curious if we're not just going to clamp where that stuff kind of used to run anyhow. It definitely would not look bad like that. Let's see what I've got for clamps. Everything's going to be a hair too small. Well, dang it. Don't worry, just get you a 2-footer self-tapper. We do need a bigger clamp, but at least that for now gets us mocked up. And boy, I just don't know about that. I have to kind of pull her that away so we can get everything that away. So then that stuff starts to show. Reroute. Going for a reroute. Come on. You can get on Slim Fast. Get your booty through there. Come on, Big Bertha. All right. Yes. Yeah. Now, right there on that lip, there's already some holes. So we can take some 1/4-inch bolts and mock her up. I know she's rough, but that looks much nicer. A washer reservoir. She gone. So over here, I'm trying to figure out what do we want to keep out here? What do we want to send through the firewall? Unless we put a big hole, it's going to kind of be hard to fish that through the firewall somewhere. Again, keeping that underneath here don't bother me. On the travel-all, I ran mine up underneath the dash, right easy to get to, and I've used it that many times since I've had the travel-all on the road. That big connector, I don't think we need to fish it through and make a big old hole. Instead, we can keep the tack module out here and fish the factory harness through there somewhere. Of course, the ground can stay out here and everything else. I guess what I'm realizing is we got to kind of figure out what all this crap is. I am going to have a mechanical speedo. I am going to have a mechanical temp and oil gauge. Those are the three I care about. So much other than possibly a check engine light one or something, I don't know what all we need out of there. And luckily for me, none of it's labeled, so we get to figure that out. If you're going to be a cheap butt like me and buy the $150 harness, don't be surprised when you get to a situation like ours. Now, we should be able to just check continuity from the pinout on our connectors and figure out what wire's what. And should be pretty easy to do. You can get online. We've got a blue connector and a green connector. So I searched LS blue green connector diagram. And it brings up all kinds of stuff. So just find one that you like. And we're going to do some checking. Let's see. For the green connector, pin number 3 is the fuel pump relay control. Now that's for dual tanks. Pin number 9, fuel pump relay control, primary. Now, I know this has nothing to do with gauges, but we're just making sure what we're doing is correct. It's right there, that green wire, that's number 9. We'll take this piece of tie wire or safety wire, paper clip, whatever you got. We put our wire in pin number 9, connect that to one side of our lead. We've got our meter set to check for continuity. And I had a theory that this this relay right here with missing power wire and output wire was for our fuel pump. And I'd say it's a good indicator that we flipped it over and that wire's green. But let's touch that. And there you go. We've now verified that that is our fuel pump relay and that there is indeed no power going to it or coming out of it. Exactly what we were hoping for. So now I will look on here and I don't really know what I'm looking for. I'm just kind of looking. Pin 46, check engine light control. Again, that's on our green connector. So right here on the back, it tells you what pin number is what, guys. So all you gotta do is flip her over and read. 45, that might be 46. There's a little notch right there, so that's the one that's hard to read. And back there, that's a brown wire. So we look in our bundle. Hey, right there, we've got a brown wire. Boom, brown wire is our check engine light. We now know that. So is it a pain in the butt? Yes. I mean, do you want to spend $700 to buy one labeled? Maybe. Probably a little bit better quality too, but that's why we're just seeing how this one works for me. I've heard 50-50 on these cheapo harnesses, and with any luck, she's going to be a gooder to us. So, y'all see me check a couple things. Now I just got to verify a lot of things. And old Bill done hit y'all the sneak attack. He done snuck in here, tippy-toed like a ninja. Let's just pick a color wire out of our bundle that's supposed to be going towards the dash. Like right there, I picked purple. Then I'll just pick up each one of these and I'm gonna start stabbing around wherever purple wires are. Boom, we found one. We flip her over, that's pin 33. Now I can see what that is, and I'm gonna go through all these. That should make her pretty quick-ish. Ding, 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 we have a winner. 42, fan relay control. Come on, yellow. So, no luck with the yellow wire, and I've had 2 others like that as well. However, we got a temp right there. Surely that has to go to the computer though. I haven't got anything that has said temp sensor yet. Well, and I seen that, so I was hoping maybe it'd be that yellow. So our yellow wire, the gray one, and this off-white one, I'm not sure what they are. Our green one is our fan number 1 relay control. This is gonna be a ground signal that the computer, you program it to say when the first fan comes on. You want it to come on at 190, you can tell the computer that. If you got dual fans, it kicks one fan on. Let's say it continues to heat up and you've got your next one set to come on at 200 or 205. Well, that's this blue wire, fan number 2. Again, just a ground signal to kick a relay on. We found our check engine light. This is for your brake switch for cruise control, which is kind of funny they give you that because I didn't see anything else that was also for cruise control, which I made up my mind. We're not worried about it. I don't think this is going to be going from Oklahoma to California or anything. So some vehicle speed sensor, aka your speedometer if you got the electronic. We got a neutral safety switch, engine RPM, aka your tach. Basically, we need our 2 fan controls, which those stay this side of the firewall anyhow. There's no need to put them in there when the relays are going to be out here. That's something I just planned on adding ourselves. And we need our check engine light. Now the curiosity's killing me, so I've started checking other stuff. Hey-o, we found a yellow wire right there. There's a gray wire in there too. But apparently that is not our missing gray wire, because none of these are checking out. Now, I would really like to know what those 3 wires are, just for a peace of mind. However, I'm not having any luck. Now, being though they were going up there to the front towards gauges and stuff like that, I'm still assuming they're for some type of maybe indicator light. The one coming out of the tach kind of has me nervous, tach control module or whatever. That has me nervous, but I'm like, maybe it's a cruise light, you know? I can't really find a good pinout on that connector online. I'm sure they're on there, but if I'm being honest, I'm tired of looking. And I might be kicking us in the butt here, but we're pretty well gonna snip what we don't need. And we may use a couple, or leave a couple inches off these ones that we're unsure what they are. But like I suspected, most of that crap for our very simple LS swap here. Mechanical transmission, mechanical gauges, mechanical. We just need this engine to run. Who gives a damn about a cruise control light? When Puddin' Pop's got this thing floored to the ground with all that clearance we just fabricated into that pedal, that's going to be cruise control, wide open throttle. So not fully satisfied with our research, we're going to do what any logical YouTube mechanic would do, which is pull the 3 wires we think we want, make sure to knot them up, and then we'll trim down all of that. The off-white, the gray, and the yellow we're unsure of, so we'll leave them that length for now. The rest of them get out, cut out completely. And as of right now, I have 1 check engine light I want to pass through the firewall. Go ahead and cut grommet off, because we're not going to put a 2-inch hole in our firewall. And now we can again kind of figure out more of our layout. Now I'm clearly going for the cheap way of doing this, guys, but just like laying that harness out, that don't mean she's got to be ugly. We ain't got to make her look like she's been beat on with the ugly stick. So kind of like running that harness down. Our 2 control wires for the relays need to come this way, so I'm going to add them in here and start taping them this way. Our orange wire needs to be our 12-volt key to kick this whole unit on, so I got to start running it towards the ignition, so I'm taping it in that way. Our check engine light, we know, is going that way, so I've got those 2 running together. And obviously, we could just let everything flop everywhere, and as long as it gets bolted down and stuff gets plugged in and it maybe sorta runs, hopefully, it would be fine. Or we can do a little bit of laying out here, and even though it's a cheapo way of doing all this, it'll look a little better. And these 3 wires we're gonna just leave kind of hanging out here by themselves, and in the future when we figure out if we need them or don't need them, we could just snip that off, finish wrapping that up. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And my hope here is to end up tying a lot of this, bundling a lot of that together and doing one big wrap on it just to kind of clean it up. But in order to do that, I think we're going to have to actually mount our PCM here and our little fuse block setup thingy-mabobber. We're going to have to lock in where we want this so we can try to pretty that up. Well, no matter where we go, we basically got to be able to mount this PCM one way or another. Oh, we've got some screw holes on each corner, so we got to build some type of brackets to be able to pick this up off of something and be able to screw it down. Looks like she's at T20, and luckily plenty of threads come through. Which means we have a little place for a bracket. We're gonna try a little experiment here. That'd be really close to that edge. I probably should have went a hair further over. And I thought I may be able to just get the sweet spot where there's enough where she don't break, but she'll go and get started. And it looks like I did not find that sweet spot. That's all right. We know we need to cut this here. We'll cut it down here. We need to drill a hole right in here. I need to go over the same distance. And then right in there. Pretty simple little thing here. And it does appear to work. 1/8 inch thick, gets our bolt out flush, so plenty of threads. That's good to go right there. Next, we simply line her up and mark her out. Oh, nice little pivot there. Exactly what we didn't want to do. Because we need 2 of these. Now I know what you're thinking, if that's hot, why are you holding it? Guys, that's how I condition my hands. So when we're out and we go, say we eat at a Mexican restaurant and they bring the hot plate, and they're always like, hold up, gringo, plate's hot, don't touch it. And I just palm the sucker and I stare at them till my eye starts twitching. Like that, where they know mama ain't no punk. Mama didn't raise no punk. Mama ain't no punk neither. She'll drop y'all. Boom, now we've got somewhere to build off of. And I think we'll go somewhere in here, because if we go too far back, we've got a hinge to worry about. You know, it collapses down in here. And I think we're gonna have longer brackets on this side. So let's do some type of 1 inch L bracket on this side, and then we'll measure the other side. Take some 1 inch wide strap, kind of eagle eye where we want to cut it. Take 2 of those, please. Coming right up, sir. Watch out, we're actually gonna do a little measuring. Come over from the edge 3/8 and from this edge 5/16. Why is that? Because I just made those numbers up. You can either weld or solid like I did, or you can do a rack a stack of the TACA. Either way, I didn't spend too much time trying to guess it and brace these. So welding them, it did kind of Z-shape from those welds shrinking. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Here we go. And kind of put that where we want it. I think right at 2 inch would look fine. Kind of check our angle there. Ooh, 45 degrees. Hey, looking through our scrap, I was looking for 2 inch wide, which that is, but that's 1/4 inch thick. It's pretty close to what we need though. Woohoo! Success! Computer is mounted. We're gonna mount her on 3 points and call that GUD. Good enough. Good morning. We had the volleyball. Volleyball went very good for the girls. We are just mounting stuff, guys. You got an idea of what we're doing. This is even more simple. I'm gonna kind of just speed through it. It's the same thing. Decide where something can go, cut metal, drill metal, maybe weld metal, just make it fit. Never a bad idea to chase the threads on your nuts once you weld them. And to clean her up a hair, some of this stuff, we're gonna take some of that plastic loom off and we'll just loop her back to herself here, and then we'll wrap it in that cloth tape I got. And like our port here, I'm gonna just mount it to this fender well, but underneath where our brackets go, where it's kind of hidden underneath there. Tack module, just bolting it back here, also behind the computer where it's kind of hard to see. And that one has about 47 foot of loom we gotta compress somehow. All right, to pass through our firewall, I took out our factory grommet where the speedo was, pulled our speedo cable for now. I didn't want to do this, but I can't find my stinking tools to de-pin this sucker. I was gonna de-pin it so we could pass it through and put it back together. That right there ain't gonna quite fit, so I'm gonna make her fit. Now I didn't want to have to put no bigger hole, I done told y'all that, but at least we can do it right there where there was already a big hole, so we're not just putting a bunch of big holes in our firewall. And that right there is big enough. I followed the shape of where the old grommet was, where we ended up with a pretty good half circle there. And as soon as I clean out that cardboard insulation stuff on the other side, she'll pass through. Piece of our grommet from that pedal we're gonna be able to use. I finished grinding that out. Basically the shape of that factory one, once you pull it out, the ring it leaves appears to be a pretty good shape for the factory one from this pedal. It was just in the wrong position, so we're just gonna use a piece. You'll see, don't worry about it. Forget I said anything. Now obviously we're not doing no show quality LS swap. We're doing the simple clean driver. I think we've kind of established that's the go-to on this build or whatever. But you guys can see this is still very time consuming. And we kind of need to pull that harness off there to wrap it up the way I want to wrap it up, to clean it up. But I also kind of want to try to test fire it before we wrap up too much, in case stuff ain't working and then we got troubleshooting to do. Welcome to Puddins. We make it up as we go. The one-stop shop for your budget-friendly LS swap. She's tightened up out there. Now we'll wiggle through underneath here. And for now, we're just gonna plug her in. With her plugged in, take her through a test. She'll work. So I've been doing some of that. I've been popping in here, little primer, little paint. Right there's looking good enough for where we're headed, which is nowhere special. It's just damned old cut down long bed K10 with a 3/4 ton axle, baby. Just a dirt road bandit. I can't find a damn thing. Looking for the bolts to actually connect our harness to the computer to retain them. Can't find them. Bought 2 packs of starter bolts for the LS motors. They just came in. I remember taking them out of the package. I know the package that I held. I know what it looked like. Everything I open, knowing we're going to use it this week, I've put right here. They are nowhere to be found. I've dug through the dumpster twice. I know I didn't take it to anywhere else besides right here. So I don't know. I think we need to kind of hook stuff up, like I said, just for a test fire. So for that, like, we need to be able to hook up our starter. Well, it's hard to put the starter in place with no starter bolts. Yeah. Oh, test them abs. Abs of steel. And take a little paint off. We got our ground coming off the back of our 6.0. We'll take it to that lip. We're gonna run a good ground from our battery to our block. Of course, this will go from the block then to the firewall. Our other ground for the harness, we're gonna end up putting right here. Yes, I'm gonna get shorter bolts. Like I said, let's just get her to try to fire. Well, I finally broke down and ran to the parts house, hardware, blah, blah, blah. No one had a 3/4 inch. They had 1 inch or 1/2 inch. Let's see if we can make these work. I did get us a flanged little hex lock nut thingy mabobbers. couple of them for our grounds. It's a mighty nice square hole you got right there. It'd be a shame if you plugged her with some cork tape. All right, shove us a good wad through. Then I like to smash that on there like so. We can smash it from the back side. Boop, that'll seal her up nice. Hey yo, what size is that? 5/16 and 7/16. This is our old oil line for our oil gauge. And I don't know if we have everything to hook this up, but we're gonna find out. Take that apart right here. I've already hooked that up to our adapter in the back of the motor. I thought that'd have a little ferrule on it, but it don't really look like it does. I was kinda hoping we could put a ferrule on that and thread it into there. But why would it be that easy? I'll worry about that in a second. Let's keep these grounds going. A little shorter bolt. Boop, pop her in. Drop one of our fancy nuts. Turn our ground strap down, our facer down, and tighten her up. Little tappity. And we'll put her back in the vise. Dang, never mind. It split the brass. I was hoping we could tap that loose and then pull that through so we could reuse this, but that says otherwise. So for now, I'm gonna squeeze this in because this copper is plenty long. So I'm gonna pinch down this last inch or so. Then I'm gonna fold it over on itself and pinch it again. And then the third time, and that should pretty well crimp the end good enough to not plumb spray oil everywhere, assuming we get her started. That's how to properly hook up your oil gauge. Looks good to me. You seen it here first, folks. Bend our lead over where she kind of 90s back on us. We'll just get that tightened up on the bench here. Since I've lost our 1 bolts, we're having to hodgepodge a new set. Fingers crossed they'll work. Now you definitely want to hook up your lead on the bench, especially when you got a couple wires hanging over here that pulls your power from here. And they have to be connected there as well. Just it's good to do it at the bench for warm-up, you know. Let me check our starter bolts before we even worry about that too much. Well, she bolted up anyhow. I dropped her back down and put our leads on. And now we'll take our main towards the front. I'm getting very good at climbing a step ladder. If that'll hold a torque converter to a flex plate, it'll dang sure hold a ground to a head. I don't know if that is a torque converter bolt, but it sure looked like one. Now, speaking of oil leak, nope. I wasn't sure if there's gonna be oil back there, but the answer is yes. Oh, not too much. The damage is already done. Clean her up, way up. We're not running an oil cooler. You can buy these little delete plates online, extremely cheap. She's recessed for an O-ring. Just get your O-ring in there. And they got these fancy little tapered flush mount Allen bolts. Now we probably need to find the dipstick for this thing and check our oil levels as well while I'm thinking about oil stuff. I don't even know where our dipstick goes. Luckily, I gotta crawl up in this truck anytime I need to work on something, and it's lifted about 17 foot up in the damn air because everyone had gotta, why don't you lift something? Now I lifted it and I can't even work on it. I'm blaming y'all and my dad. Gotta have lifted stuff. If it was lowered, I could lean over the fender and just look, but no. All right, gotta have 6 inches of lift and 37s and stuff. This is all self-induced, by the way. I'm mad at myself. We kind of put her in place up there, and I can come down here, and I have no control because it's hitting everything up there. Golly. Y'all gonna watch me burn a project to the ground over a damn dipstick. You better go in that hole or I'm getting gasoline, for crying out loud. Thank you. All right, thank you. My eye ain't twitching, is it? Doc said my eye gets to twitching. That's a bad sign. It means I'm too angry. Oh, she got plenty of oil in her. That's good. Better safe than sorry, guys. I don't know I ever checked it from the time I bought this engine, so, you know, stuff gets moved around. It could have spilt some out of that oil cool area. You never know. All you do know is you do not want to start your motor without any oil in it. Here at Puddins Professional LS Swaps, if you're missing your bolts, a good pro tip for you is the ones that hold on your oil cooler will work for your PCM as well. So just pull those bolts for that oil cooler. You don't need that thing. Coming from the cooler, they're well lubricated with oil as well, meaning they go right on in. Probably ain't gonna run very good without some plug wires on her, huh? If you pull all yours, like I pulled all mine, and you're having a hard time finding the firing order, they don't put it on the manifolds or anything like they used to, you know. So luckily you can look that up real easy on the internet, and you can figure out which one goes to which. Make sure you got her timed right, okay? And one thing I'm not too sure about, besides everything, is the only sensor here that the connector hasn't fit has been for our MAF. And the connector fits. The problem is the MAF has plastic right there, and that's not notched out for it. So I cut that. I see we got a little bit of copper in there, and I did this a while back. So I don't know if we have the incorrect connector on the harness, if it's just supposed to be notched out right there and it's not. I don't know. For now, we're just going to plug that in and set her off to the side. I did unhook our torque converter bolts because we don't want to be spinning our transmission with it dry. I don't want to put fluid in there because we don't have cooler lines hooked up. There was a little bit of fuel in our tank. I don't know if there's enough. And I think we're just going to hot wire our tank because obviously we don't have that relay wired up quite yet. So we're just going to hot wire her to the jump pack. Sounds pretty dry. Yeah, didn't get much out the fuel rail there. It's like we had some air. Yeah, we're out. The great news is I somehow managed to install the self-fill feature. All this little stuff will get you guys filler necks, this line, that line, hoses, electrical stuff. And I usually don't do stuff like this, but I also usually trust the product a little better. It's one of those things. Is it worth it? Time will tell here shortly. All right, I heard her deadhead that time. We may still have some air in the system. No, got fuel right away. All right, slap the battery in. Up first, we're going to test the starter. I just hooked up our cheater. Here we go. Oh yeah, she's cranking. With our eyelets hooked up over there at the starter to power this, it should be powered up. Now our orange wire, that should be key on. I've got her hooked to a jumper. Oh yeah, all kinds of something just did something. Let's get our fuel pump going. Let's see what happens. Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Now obviously we ain't water pumping or cooling, so we don't want to run her too much, guys. But what a sweet noise to hear after just, I don't know. I pulled the engine out of Old Roy, and I know this is a different truck at this point, but still, the 6-liter was going to go back in Old Roy, and Old Roy got its motor pulled in 2017 to go in my International, so it's been a long time coming. Boy, she seemed to fire up good. I don't see no fuel leaking, no oil leaks or anything like that, so that's a good sign. Now, obviously, we don't have a lot hooked up, but knowing that will fire up sure makes us feel a lot better now about moving forward over there, or at least it does me. That's the way, I like it, Yeah, a little celebration dance. Now all this stuff we kind of temped up, well, we get to do it for real, and I've undone everything. I'm gonna sit up in there and wrap it up, but we're gonna get some of this other crap out of our way. So I planned on pulling this stuff anyhow, and if we got the radiator out, I could almost sit right here and work on the harness. That freed us up some room. We're also going to be having to run some wiring and stuff. So look, now we've got access to all that. This needs redone. We need to run a couple wires from there across to over here. We need to run a main power from here over to there. AKA all the fun stuff. Now, because I already kind of laid out our wires, what we wanted to stick out where, and I'd kind of taped them into place. Now we're just going and wrapping this main harness up with this cloth tape. Now, so far, I've been happy with our cheapo harness. One thing I really wish I would have thought about before we put the body back on when we laid that harness out was the fact it did not come with a wire for our starter. So now I'm having to add one in. I do know from the factory all those wires I cut off earlier had one, but we don't need multiple big harnesses running across there. If we would have added one wire and stubbed it out over there, it would have been very easy to tie in. Now I need to add this into our harness. And guys, I've showed you what it took to get it going. I showed you how to hot wire the couple things. And now I just gotta make her a little more legit. Wiring's time consuming. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. I showed you what it took, but I'm just gonna get a lot of this cleaned up and in place. Now, on the flip side of getting stuff done, I don't want y'all to be lost or be like, oh, why'd you only show us half of that? So here's what I've kind of got going. I ran our red wire. That's going to our starter solenoid. It's now fully wrapped into the harness coming over here where our other one that needs to go to a 12-volt key. Ta-da. Our two wires for our fan relay control. Boom. But what's this? A red wire. Where did it come from? Well, what I decided was instead of leaving the fuel pump relay over here, we're going to put it over there where the fan relays go. So I'm not having to run stuff here and then there. We'll just go from this side. So that green wire that used to turn that relay on, and I did think this was 12 volt or ground switched, but the way this is wired, it's like they have it 12 volt switch, so that's what we're going to go with. That one's just a ground and it has continuity right now, so obviously we ain't switching that. So that green wire, I cut it, and I had to roll a red wire, so I butt spliced the green wire to the red, and it is now wrapped up in here and coming out right here. So the green wire that used to feed is now feeding this. And that relay we'll just leave plugged in there. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. And then we've always got a spare right there next to that one. So these join the bundle that need to cross the front over to here. A big one was the vehicle speed sensor. Y'all see me cut that thing out of there. I didn't think we needed it. I thought they could eliminate it. I talked to the tuner when he flashed my computer, and he said he prefers to see one. So I bought this little kit. It's just a little AC pulse generator that we're gonna use for that signal. This should work for most LS swaps. I got it from Summit, and as you can see, it comes with a super tiny little speedo cable. So that'll go into our transfer case. This will hook to that, and then our speedo cable will hook to this. Stays in line. We get a vehicle speed signal from that little generator, and we get to keep our mechanical speedo. That makes me happy. So long story short, where I'd cut that out at was at the harness at the very back of the motor with all that stuff plugged in. So I had to dig those two wires out that I had cut. I had to check the pin out, make sure I was going to pin 20 and 21 in our green connector. Should be the same if you have a red connector. As far as your PCM connectors is what I'm talking about. But hook those up. Unfortunately, the way they hook up will matter, and we don't really know how to tell right now. So I just wired them in, and whenever we go up there and get it hooked up to the computer, if it ain't seeing signal, we'll just have to swap the wires underneath the truck. I like how I showed you swap, like we could swap that plug, but really it'll be cutting them and butt splicing them. We may put spade connectors and get fancy, who knows. So that kit came with a big old long pigtail with wiring that looked like that right there. I trimmed it down some because it's so long, but there she is now spliced back in to where I cut the one out where that can reach down here. Now up here at the firewall, that stuff I cut up, our big red wire right there, that should be our power in to just power this whole truck. Nothing to do with the LS specifically. If we want to power this truck up, we need to get a good constant 12 volts to that. Our big purple wire right there always feeds your starter solenoid. So that needs to be added to our one we ran. And we should be able to put like a jump pack over here, we'll ground out the truck. We can put 12 volts to this red wire, and we should be able to turn on the key. One of these is going to be a good 12 volt key source, guaranteed. And as soon as we find which one is a good, reliable 12 volt key, that's what we'll hook this one for, that turns on a relay to control all of that. Check this big, thick brown wire. Let's see. Shoo! 13 volts. Turn our key off, check her again. No voltage. So that thick wire right there, that's the one we're going with. Hibbity, hibbity. Now I bet if I was a betting man, as I laid that crap out and she was looking ugly, some of y'all were worried. And once again, I'm not saying it's the best ever, but once again, for the driver quality, y'all can see, I use these zip ties that have the push connectors on them. So where I'd put clamps, I ended up just zip tying them. And with all that wrapped up and zip tied up, that instead of being a mess of wires, I kind of, you know, with it wrapped and zip tied and everything, our wires that need to come across the front, zip tied it up with the factory wiring. And then I added our factory wiring with our wiring, and it loomed it all the way up, all the way across. Knock, knock. Who's there? Rev nuts. One right there and one right there. And good guess if you guess we're going to hold this. I wanted to check in so I could show y'all. Now, y'all see me put one of these together. This one come pre-wired, and each fuse is per relay. The thing is, we don't really need 6 relays. We need 3. One per fan, one for the fuel pump. However, we could, in the future, if we put Vantage Air in this, that requires 2 fuses. So we could use some extra fuses over here. Our 2 outside relays, we don't want to use those because they're going to have the longest piece of wires. So this thing comes pre-wired. I'm cutting the wires off of those. That was the output, the 2 thickens, and that right there is your 12 volt, your switch. The gray is just a ground for your coil, so all those can stay looped together, that's fine. In fact, if you want to cut those out, just cut them out of there, because they no longer matter. Now our red one here, that's what we're after. Snip it as close as you can, and then lay it back like I did the other one, and here's why. The way they pre-wired that big old bundle, that's just 12 volt input to every single one of them fuses. Well, now we've got the output of 2 of them there. And using the longer ones, we can fold those out like that, where now we can tie into that, and we will have our 2 fuses for our Vantage Air. We're going to use those. I don't think we need another relay. Just in case we do, I'm not going to full cut those ones out. We'll trim them where we can splice onto them if need be, but instead of putting them in a wrap, we'll just fold them up into this box. Now as our build continues, maybe I forget something. I've definitely never been known to forget anything. Like the fuel gauge wire that definitely goes into one of those we cut and already wrapped up. I did not forget that. Now we can wrap this back up, and we're going to be able to utilize a lot more here. Guys, it'd be goofy to mount this there, have 6 fuses, then start mounting other fuse holders for the other stuff. Sometimes you just need a little modification in the situation. Morning. I've been wiring. So over here, guys, this morning, I just finished wrapping up everything. You can see our little box mounted there, all the junctions of those wires. I like doing them close to the battery box where you can tuck it underneath there, and then kicking out from there. This wire, I put her in some wrap. That's our fuel pump wire. You can see I used those push tab zip ties and just ran her back the fender well. Got our leads. You'll notice where the ground is. I put another shorter one that goes and grounds right there to the chassis. Grounds have plenty of grounds. Now we've got one going from the battery to the engine. We have this one from the engine to the firewall. Our one off the battery lead connects to right there, which has all of our other grounds in it. You can never have too many grounds. But this is just the harness for our fans, 2 grounds and our 2 powers. As you can see, overall, that worked out pretty good. Once again, beating the dead horse of not the cleanest custom job ever, but still pretty nice. Fuel pump wire, little piece of metal there, and then we transitioned, and I just zip tied it along our brake line to get us back to here. We do 1 connect, 1 ground for the fuel pump, keep her nice and simple. So with all that cleaned up and tied back in, and all of this a little more permanent, in theory, with that battery hooked up, we should be able to hit the key. Did y'all hear it cycle the fuel pump? And hopefully start it. I said, hopefully start it. What has changed? We did the test fire to make sure something like this wouldn't happen. So all we did was make the fuel pump more permanent. We hooked stuff up to the factory harness so we could actually power up in there. We tied in that speed sensor. Surely it don't need that to be able to fire up, obviously, because we started it without it. But we were pulling on that harness quite a bit back there. I was having kind of strong man it up. Maybe something got unplugged back there. We didn't unplug anything from the engine. Cradle. I don't see anything unplugged or anything. I didn't figure we did, but got a little shot of fuel out. Not that we really thought we lost our fuel somehow. Quick check on the fuses here on the computer side of things. And those look fine. I don't know much about using these things to troubleshoot stuff, but I reckon we'll plug it in and it's powering up. Slap our key on. What the heck did we lose here? O2s. What is HTR? Uh-oh. It didn't really show any codes or nothing. I did hit erase and it did a little chick noise. Obviously not our problem. Well, what the hell, over? So I'm sitting here racking my brain. I'm like, what did I do? Like, stuff's hot wired. You know, if crap's hot wired, it don't matter. But then I hook it up legit and now we're having problems. Here's what I've come up with. Just thinking of the very few things that I had to hook up. We had a jumper wire feeding our ignition wire. And that ignition wire is the one I'm saying that turned on the whole computer wiring side of things. I bet when we're cranking, it's dropping that 12 volt out from there. I just looked for one that was a 12 volt key, but did not think about that. Y'all wanna bet? Bet down below what the problem is. I bet that I'm a dummy. Now luckily, those wires are just right there, so they're really not hard to cut into that. You can see our orange wire, cut it, spliced it to the yellow wire. Obviously I pushed the yellow wire through the firewall, and we should have known better. Even on these trucks, when you swap to HEI, because those require a little more power, you usually want to go to that spade right there next to ignition. And that spade's gonna keep 12 volts to it as you crank, so your ignition has power. Please be good to me. Oh yeah. She's noisy, and we got some wires really close to our exhaust, so I really don't want to run it and get those hot. But she fired up. Wiring is cleaned up. Well, I gotta clean that. Guys, I'm very happy with how this looks and the fact she fires up. Also, we can't run her too much, or this big monster turbo sucker deluxe right there is gonna start pulling dirt daubers in there. She may be a red dirt road, back road bandit machine, but she don't like running off the dirt dauber slobber. Bing, bop, boop, bang. We are wrapped up. Let me get a flashlight on where y'all can see these. I don't know why I did that. Right here, we just got a replacement radiator from the parts house. Put one in Randy's truck. It's been good. These actually have really good reviews. Hopefully she's good to us. As far as fans goes, we got 2 of the SPA 14-inch. Now y'all know the SPA's about the only fan I'll recommend to anybody. This ain't paid endorsement. This is just me telling y'all what works really good. These we're gonna get the max out of. I knew it was gonna be close. Look. So we're gonna have to build a shroud. We don't do the just zip tie them to the radiator anyhow. We may zip tie a harness, but we ain't zip tying them fans to radiators. A bunch of rat poop down there. We'll pick up our screws though. Not because we need them. We should definitely get rat poop on our hand just to get that scrap weight. Oh, shop vac. Yes. We're gonna change its name from Shop Vac to Turd Sucker. Dang, even Shop Vac knew we were trying to save our scrap metal. Drop that one out for me. Yeah, much more gooder. There's our old radiator mount. Chat. Just making sure we got a hole there, because I got these for like 6 doll hairs off the Amazon. Let's see if they work or not. Look a little small, maybe not. It'll sit there. Don't know they're gonna actually pull into place. Oh yeah, she's way up in there. Yum, 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 yum. Everyone's like, man, he seems like he's in a better mood or something. Yeah, it's because I don't have wire strippers in my hand. I ain't having no luck. Let me show you the new install method. Give that thing the hock to it. Engine oil is great for rubber to make sure it lasts long. Oh, this one has 2. I don't know which one we should do. We'll just go with the narrower one. Put it right there, and then right where the center is, you can see where that is. I'm gonna put a little punch. There we go. All right, it was not the narrower one. Good guess. Woo, beautiful fit now. Move it to the other one. And we may not zip tie fans to a radiator, but we'll just masking tape a radiator in. That looks good, guys. Call it done. Just playing. Obviously, we're not done. Well, we've got an obvious issue here. That's that radiator is not even close to being the correct height. Now, this was a big block truck, so I'm just assuming that was the difference. Or maybe it's because that radiator's for, she usually gets stuff for like an 80 model for me. And this one's a 73. Do not fear. That's why we keep a junkyard near. I don't think Mortsky would miss this bracket, do ya? So ours being big block is going through these. And as up here, look at this one. It comes off the front and it drops down. Very, very interesting. Not really. Makes total sense. Here's a core support. No shroud or holder thingy, my bobber. There's another core support without one. You'd think with all these dang C10 parts, I got one somewhere. I remember putting some parts for old Roy up there, and well. Right underneath our breather lid and our PVC. Here's this, which does appear to be bent now. That's good. Surely no one's ran it over with the skid steer or nothing. Actually, I think that was already bent, and that's probably from when me and Dad pulled the motor way back in the day. Guess what the parts house had in stock? The big block radiator. As long as we can hook it up, I can already tell it looks like a thicker unit. As long as the hose sizes are fine, why not? And that's little bitty, so I don't see why it wouldn't. Yep. Same size as what we got there. What we got down on the bottom. Damn 1.5 inches, just like over there. We'll take it. Now, this is going to be fun, because we really can't attach to our radiator. You know, she's plastic. We got clips down in the bottom where the factory shroud would just click in there, and then it would thread it on up on these 2 clips, so we can build off of this and build something that sits down into that, I guess. Who thought this was a bright idea, huh? We got right at 1 inch from that edge back to the plastic. And there's some fins in here, so we'd probably be better off saying 3/4 of an inch. Overall height about 22 inches-ish from the bottom of the clip to the top of this area. 29.5 width. Just like everything, we'll do a little measuring and a little figuring out. Don't take advice from me. I'm not a sheet metal guy. Got a nice clean edge right here. So we're going to use that. Now for overall height, I think over there I said like 22 or so. We're going to actually go 23.5. Because I've decided over there we're going to add a lip on top where it breaks over. 23 1/2. Oh yeah, hit both marks really nice. Good deal, Lucille. Voila, perfect square. We do use the term perfect loosely around here. Hey look, it's Obese, Oklahoma. This is our plain factory edge, so we're gonna use it as the very top. And we're gonna aim to go over 1 3/8 inches. Go ahead and round our corners. And we're gonna see what our old sheet metal brake's made of. Yeah, I recently tuned it up on our last sheet metal episode. Much needed tune up. Kinda, sorta there. Next we try to drop her in. And we're too wide for it to drop down. So marked over where we know how much to go over. Take like 1 inch, 1.25 inches off the bottom. Just because that's what we're being held up here. Maybe 1.5 inches. Next, we'll break that bottom. We're not going to full 90, but we got to get that bottom to kick out some. A little angle dangle will do. Looks like we did pretty consistent on our edge, which is good. Looks pretty straight up and down-ish to the radiator. With that broke, we're sitting down really good right here. The middle could use pushed down, or this piece needs pulled up, but sitting flush out here too. And underneath here, we're holding in those clips, which would probably work, or we can add some tabs underneath here that actually bolt on one way or another. Instead of measuring this all out, with this where I want it side to side, I'm just going down through here where our ribs are and putting a mark at the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get your booty on the floor. Gotta get up, get down. Gotta get up, get down. Especially this extra weight, it's only a matter of time before them old clips on the bottom break. So we're gonna go ahead and knock a couple holes down low and get us some nut certs ready to go. Yep. Oh, that wasn't a pretty sound. Fancy. Cut us out some very simple tabs out of 1/8 inch. Pulled our clips to get them out of the way. On a rusty piece of metal, for something like this, you may not want to just buzz a hot weld because you may start pulling in trash. So y'all heard me do the stack of the tacker, but I've got that welder cranked up hot, too hot, where you have to zap it or you'll burn through too. And they'll lay down pretty flush. You don't pull in a bunch of garbage. They look good. Easy way to do it for something like this. Now we've got a nice, basically replaced our clip system with a heavy duty clip system and a retaining bolt. Snazzy. So next we need to enclose our sides. It looks like we can get away with the 1 inch. We're a little further off there than I planned to be, but that's okay. And we need to mark where our hoses are gonna go because we're gonna have to do a little clearancing down here and up here. cut pieces of 1 inch wide, tack her down the side. We're gonna lay out our fans as fast and simple as possible. You see where this is flat? There's a rib right in the middle. So I'm just gonna use the eagle eye and mark that. We'll do that on both sides. And over there on the shroud part, I went down from the top just 10 inches. Is a little over 20 long, so roughly cut in half. Again, not a real big deal. And then from each edge, I went in 3/8 of an inch, just because it's what my eyeball liked. So now we'll put that center mark on that center mark and go to that 3/8 mark. Then we'll line her up, hit the mark over there. Boom, fans are placed. Reload. Looks really good. If only the holes on the back side of this would cut themselves out, huh? And that's actually my only complaint about these fans. There's not really a good way to mark them out and they don't send templates. And sometimes I'll trace the outside and then you know you need to go at least 1/8 inch in that way. Problem is, I get her pretty thin doing it that way. So this time I'm just gonna go around and scribe it. All right, clean her up, prep her up, wipe her down, take her to spray town. Just a little 80 grit action and some lacquer thinner to help get the grease from my hands and everything else. Nice thick coat of the TrinsStar. Emptied that can. Watch my fanny. Get her out in the sun. Boop, boop, boop. Turn the sun to kill. Let that baby dry. I ain't tried this stuff out yet. It's supposed to be a satin black finish, kind of OEM style, which is clearly what we're after. Perfectly factory truck. Woohoo! That one got going so fast it looked like the can was staying in one spot. I don't even have patience for rattle can, guys. Golly, that sucker got hot. You know, spray this, let it sit up 20 minutes. Oh man, shickety shake the little spray nozzle right on out of there. When we're doing the sheet metal on this, some person, presumably pretty old, they're the ones who are really mad at patina. You're just ruined it because you're not painting it. Back in my day, the bushings was blown out on everything I owned, and it was a piece of crap and had collapsed brake lines, but me and my friends painted it, so my car's better than yours. The clear coat and paint fell off after 6 years. And he said something along the lines of, if you were a real automobile enthusiast, not a fake one, dude, you know how many old cars we've put back on the road? I'm just being ornery, guys. I like being ornery sometimes. I thought I was gonna like this project till you decided not to paint it. Really? That's weird. Because historically around here, we're known for painting all of our projects. I mean, so far we've built how many cars on the channel? And we've only painted one. And we painted it with rollers and paintbrushes, and we put rust back on it. I would definitely be shocked at puddins.fab.shop when we don't fully paint stuff. I would be upset over that if I was you. We had a little side quest. Had to go down by the pond. Can anyone tell who got in the pond? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't me. You got seaweed on you, dude. There you go. I've got some friends local that have a YouTube channel, and y'all can check them out. They're awesome. I gave them a shout out on the second channel forever ago, and a lot of y'all went over there and started following them, so I appreciate it. They found me a very old, like 1930s patina, 33 foot tall windmill, and she's gonna go down by the pond. So they were over here seeing about what we need to do for maybe any prep work. They're ready to get that going. Guys, I'm putting her a coat on this, and then I got to get going because we got volleyball. It's 4:30, and I got to get cleaned up because I stink, and now I half smell like pond water. All right, let's go. Fans on first thing this morning. Yeah. Boom, installed. Pretty happy with that, guys. Overall, fairly simple. Really didn't take too long. Installs nice and easy. Seems to fit well so far. And the best part I didn't tell y'all, we're actually keeping the mechanical fan. So next we're going to build a shroud off of this that shrouds in the mechanical. And it's very well known that running 3 fans is your best bet. So that's what we're going to do next. Need to measure. That fan looks about 16 inches. I'm just playing. However, there is enough room. Look at that. We still got plenty of work room in there. Obviously, the fan will be coming off. If I can be honest, I'm not too worried about pulling the fan off and hooking up hoses and stuff like that right now. We got her mounted, and for some reason, I want to start messing with the exhaust. I think it's because I kind of tried to mock up some exhaust in there one time, just like roughly look, and it seemed like the passenger side was going to kind of be a pain in the butt, and I just want to kind of figure that out, I guess. Hot Rod has volleyball today, shocker. That's all we do is volleyball right now. It is close to over, unfortunately, but I got shut down at like 2 o'clock today, so probably a bad idea to get into the exhaust. Let's have a look-see. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Well, that don't look too bad. Unless we want to come through here, so our exhaust ain't hanging way down here. Boy, it may be easier to snake that sucker over and shoot her out this side. Plug for our O2 sensor. Hey, look, I didn't even put that there, but that thing practically self-installed almost. We are gonna have trans cooler lines that gotta sneak past that exhaust somewhere. We have a bunch of cheap stainless parts off the Amazon, like this. Hey, that's actually stainless. What about that? Yep, real good quality stainless. Magnets don't stick to stainless, guys. Woo! I can dang near pick that one up. There's so much mild steel. So it's a light coating. Of course, you can tell by the corrosion there that she ain't just pure. Good stuff. Guys, I know for a really nice stainless exhaust, you got to have nice, expensive materials. I'm not that guy. This ain't that truck. Maybe we can find some nice, good quality grade stuff for our Lodestar and finally try to build a nice one. I use this type of material for our S10 one, and I thought it turned out good enough for what it is. However, if you order a stainless kit and it comes in a box that says made in China, don't be surprised when you get cheap stainless. How about a whole kit is $100? Man, it ain't even good stuff. This is stainless enough that it's not magnetic though, but guaranteed quality's gonna be down. Now, I wish I could tell you guys I was really good at this. I wish I had a tubing bender or exhaust bender, but I don't. I have an angle finder. I have some I really don't give a damn. And we've got some universal pieces. And if I hold that up there and go to about the 1.5 inch mark and set it at that angle about right in there, that kind of sort of gets it where it looks like we may be able to aim and sit above this cross member. Armed with that probably not so useful information, knowing we would want that to be the bottom, we're gonna come over here and just try to sort of maybe figure it out. Set 1.5 inches, so right in there, coming from the bottom, that's the bottom. Kind of square up our edge, get this running parallel with this edge, and then I'm gonna have to kind of hold this parallel with that edge, this straight with that straight, and then over there it was about a 70-degree angle, so that's what I'm gonna mark right there. Fortunately, we gotta cut this at an angle. I don't know what else to do. Next, you simply install your new blade. Golly, come on. It simply and very gently slides right into place. As long as you hold that good, it don't shake too bad. I cut us a little bit above my mark just to see if my brain's working. All right, we're kind of headed in the right direction-ish. We're gonna have that shifter to watch out for too. I knew I should have waited. This thing's about to whip me. Shaved a little off the bottom. That way, kind of sets our angle a little better there. All right, she's tacked. I did pull our shifter down to first. As we shift that up, you can see we'll have plenty of clearance. I did have to angle it that way, unfortunately. And as far as our TIG welding goes, we're trying a few new things. I did get us a glass lens. I don't know what size that is, looks like about number 8. I got us a new welding helmet from the US Welder. I like it so far. I just want a dedicated one to TIG. Y'all know I don't do a lot of TIG, so then when I use our MIG one, it's always dirty. This one was really cheap on Amazon. I do like it so far, other than I just had to crank sensitivity all the way up because it keeps flashing in and out, which ain't good for your eyeballs. So we'll see if me cranking it up all the way fixes this. Now over here, I did that where we got our slip joint on the bottom. And of course, we always got a little bit of play in them. So we're happy with that for getting us out this side. So let's not worry about that too much. And let's see if we can figure out how to finagle the passenger side over to the driver's side. Another eyeball cut. This time I didn't even use the angle finder. I just kind of held it up there and marked what looked okay. So we're aiming to get right in there. So I need to take a little bit more off the back. And I need to drop down some. So my original mark there was probably pretty accurate. We want more off the overall height because we're too far into the bend right there, too teardrop shaped. And then a little more angle to cut a little more off the booty. Ha-ha! And I held it up that time and I took a little too much off the booty, but we're gonna clean this up on the belt sander anyhow. So now I'll take a little off that top edge. And once again, I'm sure there's a more technical way to do this, but for what we're building, I think we're doing good so far. Sand it. Well, this is why I struggle with TIG welding. I was confident lining it up because I burned it out so much up there and on the back. So I was like, ooh, I'll pull it down here, line those up. I thought I had them lined up. I finally got a tack and a tack, and now I see I'm not actually lined up. We're doing really good work here. The welds look terrible. It's just TIG practice for me, but we ended up with in a good spot here as far as height wise, I think. Oh no, not really, because if I had done that right, we could have come down further. Then we could have just 90'd and 90'd. She's welded solid, we ain't changing it. Slip that in there. Yeah, that's where dropping that down a little further would have been nice. We're gonna have to get a little ghetto, folks. Let's go take, inch or so off that.
Help me! Help me!
We're gonna slide that in, then we gotta angle it down. So you see the way I kind of drew us an angle there. Fail! Guys, that didn't work. I'd cut too much off, taking that 1 inch. So that is now this piece here. I cut it off straight. And this other piece I'd started to angle cut, we're gonna use over here now. So I cut it at a little angle, not taking off a lot. And then I hold that up there and it starts to slip in, and I marked our angle. With it, I know with that pretty level, that's the top. So then we're just kind of imitating it to this side. which I've done enough eagle eyeing over my life that I can mark that out pretty stinking good. Good enough we'll be able to weld the gaps anyhow. Stuck us a washer in between there to create some gap. Got about 3/16 of an inch. We're gonna have to make that work. Just let our same thick washer between that and that to create a gap. Oh crap, we're aiming way more up than I was meaning to. We're gonna run it, kinda is what it is. I don't got enough of these pieces to keep cutting them wrong. Looking terrible, guys. Honestly, I could grab the MIG welder and weld it up and it'd look better. They call it TIG welding a discipline, and I don't have much of that. Takes patience. I don't have much of that either. Fit up is key. We didn't do very much fitting up. But I like doing this every once in a while just so I get practice not dipping this sucker, and then I'm a little better when we do stuff where this is a little more important. In fact, that right there is probably about as good as you're going to get out of me today. Don't be too impressed here. Uh-oh's right, buddy.
Looks like I came just in time. What you get good at? You didn't really do
I want to say good, but we're getting the gaps filled. Well, got that piece welded up. I finally got her tuned in a little better and got some nicer welds going down.
I might have did those.
Hey, nice side down, baby. We got a little clearancing issue. She must have got hot from someone who did those ones up there and it walked up. Don't worry, I put a mark there where we need to just knock a little love dent, little tapperoonie into that. I took our marker and we're going straight up. I'm giving a mark like that, and then on the top like that. Over here we'll do the same thing, and this is gonna be where we end up putting our O2 sensors. Now I got this one aiming in and down. I got this one aiming back but up. We should definitely cut the flare off of one of these X pipes here and just try to slip that in there and make that fit right there. It's gonna go so good. That was the easy part. Now we're gonna have to zigzag something between that to that. So far, she ain't looking good. I made sure to look at it from behind before I looked up there to not be discouraged. Hey, cut her right at the right angle. She's gonna go right in. Let's go 15.5. Actually, we should lose some doing bends. We'll go 16. We're just gonna cap this, and we're gonna cap that. We're gonna hole saw, and then we're gonna just plate it in, guys. It'll be fine. We'll say up here's our top for now, and we need some cuts down through here so we can bend it up. Did 4 relief cuts with the saw. She's taking big bites. Oh, you just gonna smack her? You don't trust my advice? Yep. Guys, there's some exhaust shops that build such high-end stuff. They spend like a whole build week on exhaust. Just crazy. Right there. Who's got time for that? Not us. Here's what we've got going. We got the old rib cage cuts.
It's gonna be a practical Lamborghini when we get done.
Oh, well, you get all those welds in there and it makes the exhaust ruffle. That's from these, guys. That saw's just being too violent. It's really not wanting to cut it. Woo, pretty. Roughly, Eagle Eye does a angle on there. Give her a little free hand cut and she'll fit or she won't. How's that for eagle eye in the mark and freehand cutting?
Oh yeah.
The evil laugh of victory. Hell, I done welded a bigger gap than that over
that
here.
side.
So you don't got nothing to do the rest of the day, right? You need a lot of stainless practice, huh?
Not that much.
Teamwork.
We'll pile.
Oh yeah. She's removable. Well, as y'all can see, it's dark out. We done drove to dang old Tulsa and back for some volleyball. Anyhow, she's welded up. I ain't gonna show you too much of it because it looks like crap. It is not attractive. I acknowledge this is not the prettiest exhaust. However, we're trying to finish up with at least getting this hung back in place. So we need to put some O2 bungs in there. I guess the 3-tack stack. All right, pop our other one in. I'm not gonna fully weld those out until we can actually put an O2 sensor in there and check for clearance. Better safe than sorry. And after welding up some of them gaps, I'm confident I could weld up that like 11/16 hole now, okay? Well, all right. Boy, I think we're gonna be good, folks. We even got a little clearance there now. I forgot to dent that in. But that's gonna wait. We'll do it after we check our O2s, weld those in, guys. I'm calling that a wrap. It's about 9:30 at night on Friday. I tried to push hard on this thing. Wiring did take longer than expected. I knew the exhaust was gonna kick my butt. No real surprise there. However, we are ending with a half-built exhaust and a now fired up old Roy, guys. And if you wanted to see more, do not fear, because next week I think I'll be back on this thing. We're like a trans cooler, torque converter bolts, the rest of the exhaust. Very few things left. Trans cooler, hooking up steering column. We're really close to taking this thing for a test drive. Really close. Filler neck, gauges. See how that list can keep growing pretty quick. Paint job, interior, damned old AC. Thank you guys so much for being here, sticking it out with me. I cannot thank y'all enough for all the support over the years. I hope y'all's excited to hear this thing fire up. I'm ready to finish the exhaust. I want to see what she's going to sound like. Dad did request the X pipe or H pipe, so we got him one on there finishing up. I think we'll V-band from there back. That way it can be removable. That is the XYZ pipe. It Y's, it X's, and we put that Z in there, that last piece of pipe. So you've seen it here first, folks. puddins.fab.shop.com for that good quality merchandise. Y'all know we've just released the old Roy stuff, so we appreciate all the support there, guys. Y'all supporting that makes it possible for me to build my data truck, and you know, it funds it, and I cannot thank y'all enough for the support there. Hopefully that stuff sells and sells good. We'll get to add some air conditioning. So thank y'all. I'm on the Instagrammer. We're on the Facebooker, on the Patreon, all that other good stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one. However, do not forget, sitting on your ass will not finish your project.